So hi, thank you for joining us for this interview. I'm Codin, and we are talking with Taku and Yousuke today, coming at Glow Creative Camp all the way from Japan. Yep. Our conversation will follow creativity and the mix between music and visual arts. Taku is a producer and DJ. And Yousuke is also making music, but your main art is visual arts. Yep. So, as a first question, what does creativity represent for you?
Who starts first? Me?
Yeah.
Creativity is very important, especially nowadays. It's much easier to create music. You can make a song from computer, of course, but aside from that, even from the smartphones, these programs are really good. And also so many sound libraries of electronic music. Let's say kick drum, boom. There's so many in Splice or many other platforms. So any people can be involved in being creative, which is great. At the same time, like professionals, we have to come up with something better than that, something more creative, something new, something that brings out new dimensions. So all the computer stuff made us easy to create music, but at the same time, being creative has become harder than before, I think.
Okay. Yes. Just to step out of the boundaries.
Yes.
Okay.
And for me, the creativity is more simple, like just living own life is a creativity for me, because like a creative things or creative something, it's for me it's a part of life, like daily life, like eating or sleeping, same like creative or creativity is same like that kind of things, like more naturally, and then one part of the life. So for me, the creativity is, it's
everyday life.
Yeah, everyday life.
Okay.
For me, yeah.
How do you feel? You both of you are doing music and visuals for some time. Do you feel the creative process has changed over time, taking into consideration the changing of behaviors in people and also in you, and also the development of technology? So being creative does brought new elements?
Especially this like digital age, like we can use the information or data of sound and the visual in the same time in the neutral data pool, like as a material. So nowadays, like I think like don't need to separate like musicians or visual makers. Musicians also can make the visual like composing, and also filmmakers, visual artists can compose like filming. So it's changed a lot with the technology's development.
And for you, Taku?
I've been doing this for 23 years, and I've experienced a change in transformation of how electronic music instruments had become. Because back in the day, we had to have a hardware, we had to have the keyboard synthesizer or sampler, but now you can do everything in laptop. So in the box, yeah. So that made me possible to make music anywhere. Like I call my laptop the box of studio. Like you don't have, back in the day you had to go to the studio and do some recording, but now the digital technology has become much evolved in a better way. So like you can do it anywhere. And also I'm a producer, I'm a musician, but at the same time I'm a music listener. And the songs I used to listen in early 2000s or even like in the 80s, they're in the 90s, I say, it was much longer. It was like, and the stuff I was making was like usually like 5 minutes. But now if I listen to 5 minute song, aside from club electronic music, let's say the 5 minutes pop song, I'd be like, oh wow, this song is long. And so even for myself, the length of my song is like 3 minutes and something recently. And that's probably because of how like Spotify or like the subscription service changed the life and lifestyle of listeners, including myself. So that listening experience is very connected to the production. So it did change in that way too. But at the same time, when I'm making music, I mentioned about how I can make music all in the box, right? And from the laptop. But I also use sampler. Samplers is something like a machine that records sound and you can play with keyboards. I use the old like 90s and also even the 80s sampler. And that just makes a difference between just in the box. It just gives like a little extra flavor to it, and I like doing that.
Before it was the visual arts and the music. The DJs, it was 20 and something years ago, the DJs were always asking for a visual artist to enhance the music experience. And then at a certain point, as both music and the visual arts grew, they started to have, as a metaphor, a little bit fight who's come first in the spotlight, the musician or the visual artist. And they went on separate ways. But for some time now, also based on the technology, music and visual art, it seems that they come together once again, trying to combine everything, because like you said, the musician can do visual art and the visual artist can make music, and the boundaries between them merged. Where do you feel in nowadays this common ground is based between music and visual arts? Where in your opinion, the two forms of arts meet the best? Where do they meet, the music and the visual arts? Where do they meet as a melting point?
Maybe I feel like YouTube or something, like social networks, always like someone shooting and then put the music later. Before, music existed before, and they put the visual, like making music, like music video. It's the process, and always hierarchies exist there, like music. The track always has a priority, and they put the visual on that. And then so like the visual makers cannot say that kind of things. Can you change the sound like this? Because my visual is not fit to this sound, but like before, it's difficult to say that. Like music is more like stronger, but gradually the internet or something like social networks are like changing the environment, and then visuals coming more faster and stronger, and then music still strong, but the part of the usage is changing. Like only the track, it's also beautiful and stronger enough. But sometimes like sampling or, in a Instagram or like Facebook or something, just short samples put on the shooting. And then the relation of each other is kind of changed. Like not only the top down, or just not one way. It's like more like interactive. So like music composers, I don't know everyone, but some of the music producers think like to make the music or tracks good for use for the like Instagrammers or influencers. Or TikTok things. It's more like I don't know. I'm not like that kind of music producer, but someone may think more catchy or good like the sound balance for the smartphone speakers or laptop speakers, and very short but catching the people's mind. So yeah, for me, the environment of by internet or like the networks has changed. Then the relation has changed and gathering together again.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I think that kind of
Answers the question. And for you, what do they mean?
So this question, or I agree to some points. I disagree with you. You said, you know, they're close back then. You got separated, but that I didn't have experience. And
To be separated?
Yeah, no. And like even for other Japanese artists, like the visual's always there.
Yeah.
And so it never got separated. But I agree to you in the sense that it's getting closer and closer. It's more intimate now. So I think definitely, you know, it was a new thing in the 90s when people started to put VJs on DJs, right? But since then, it has become like a artist to artist thing, and also become like a DJ to the club thing. Club had VJs, or even for the live shows, there are a lot of artists they try to use visuals, but it's at the same time. Let's put it this way: like for the clubs, we never lost it; it was always there. And for the artists, like singer-songwriters, they also, and the rappers, they put like LED. Is because now we have LED. Back in the day, it was projector. Could you project something on the daytime? That'd be tough, right? It's gotta be nighttime. Now there's a LED screen which you can light up on the daytime too. I think that made it easier for the collaboration to happen. And as for artists, especially in Japan, we're very together. Like we never got separated.
In Europe, it was a point where visuals, for example, if we talk only about the DJs and the VJs, in Europe it was a point where the visuals were made there because it felt like it had to be there. It was not something that worked together with the music. So you had one VJ that didn't know the band or the artist. Yes. He was there, yes, you'll do VJs, you are the VJ for tonight. It wouldn't matter who would play the music. He would just be there and do some mapping or video not related to the music the artist would play. And this is how I believe that they went separated.
Yeah. Okay. In that terms, I mean, if you go to like clubs, right?
Yeah.
It's not very. I mean, some clubs are very conscious about how they put music together, and but a lot of them are like just like, let's have a video in the end, and that I understand. But artists and artists do a lot of collaboration. Like resident DJs, they don't do that, but like artist DJs, we have our own team who be together, and
well, also lighting too.
Yeah,
like lasers or lighting, whole teams exist to bring in.
Because I started my career like 20 years ago. I had when I'm DJing, I found a VJ friend. We were always together, and anywhere there's enough budget, we always
went together.
Yeah, but sometimes there's no budget, so I have to, you know, just be alone. So being realistic, like I would like to bring them, and because they know my sound, and also I know what they put in. Sometimes, like when I'm DJing, I look back and like that gives me a hint of what to play too.
Oh, nice.
It has been like that from a long time ago for me. So and what you're saying, the missing link in that situation, it does have that in Japan too. It's like we just have the video for the heck of it. It's not like art. Yeah, I agree. But there has been always like a good collaboration. Yeah.
But now, based on technology and how this evolved, do you think that there is still there are still boundaries between music and visual arts?
Yeah, still this boundary exists, but it's much like easier to over or soak in together, because like the menu of software, it was like 10 years ago. It's difficult to understand for the musicians to make the visual things like 3D CZ or something like that kind of things. It's kind of too heavy to learn from the, the basic to develop because they're musician. But and also vice versa, like for the visual artists or cameramans, difficult to learn how to synthesize or something, software or something. But recently much easier to understand that kind of things, all the packaging, the software of music is easy to use and easy to prototype, and also for the visual too. So they could understand each other, what they are doing. So now easy to have conversation or collaborate much more. Like it always exists, like the collaboration, like he said, like before the age. But nowadays the boundaries still exist, but much easier
to go over the fence. Yes.
For the just one person can like jump. Then tomorrow for the sound art, and the next day to the visual art. Also like the science side, or more different field, jumping. So less small walls.
Well, what are you when you get involved in a musical project and you should do the visual part for that musical project? What are you looking into that music to enhance? Or how do you position yourself towards the music project?
For me, it's a kind of, as a visual maker, I really expected to bring something unexpected from the sound. Okay. Like if I bring some materials for VJing and then just switching, unexpected experience never happen. It's already planned all the things. But if played together, like the audiovisual artist or VJing who knows the sound, how to control the sound, then capture some unexpected factors from that musicians makes. We can catch that and bring that to the visual instantly and the directly. So for me, for always try to over the limit of myself as a visual maker. Then when I collaborate or gathering with the musicians. Yeah.
Taku.
Yes.
In your experience of over 20 years, the sound has changed a lot in what people are listening to or dance to, and it changed and it came back. And this comes to my next question as an European. Now the city pop music is coming so hard in Europe again, and we see so many records that are reprinted and new musicians that are coming. How do you feel? How does it feel in Japan? This export, this kind of music export, is it something that stands?
Oh, I love city pop, and I like what's going on. And like if you look at the music worldwide, trend is cyclical.
Yes.
Right now, or like maybe several years ago, 90s was a big thing, and then the 2000 came, and it's like the recent releases, there are a lot of like deep house influenced song in the club scenes, I think, except they have a lower kick sound.
Yes.
And also a lot of DJs and producers are saying electro's coming back. And it's always cyclical, and one aspect of Japanese music of being cyclical is city pop. And city pop it's interesting because there were some fanatics in Japan who liked the old rare groove from Japan, but it was very, very rare. But it actually got bigger outside of Japan first. Like my friend of mine from Korea, he's a DJ called Night Tempo.
I know.
Night Tempo.
Yeah,
he samples like the Japanese idol songs or the city pop sounds and make it a house. Or like the vaporwave movement in the U.S. is really huge. That is also kind of connected to the city pop scene. Like my friend, who plays city pop, are asked to play at the vapor pop events, and I'm happy to hear that it's happening in Europe too. But the thing about Japan is a country where they get influence from all over. They get influence from the U.S. They get influence from other Asian countries, and also, a lot from Europe. And since we get a lot of influence all the time, we always look for something new. We just keep on going, trying to. Then we never look back. It's not connected. There's a missing link, especially there. Like they forget about the old songs, but like let's say you look at the history of hip hop. Hip hop just began with using 2 vinyls of soul music, and then the sampler came out. Then they started to sample like 70s fusion or jazz or soul, and that made hip hop today. But that's from the 70s and 60s and stuff. While Japanese people, they just throw it away. But I'm very happy the city pop has become big because they're not recycling, but reusing the essence. And a lot of the new artists get the influence from that and create a city pop sounding. I'm very happy because a lot of people outside of Japan is listening. And if there's a chance for Japanese artists to go outside of Japan, for that'd be great. And also I would like to introduce some other stuff than city pop, because city pop is not the only genre we have, right? There's so many other like cool music that can
This I wanted to ask you, if you'd have the superpower to say like to have a genre or a direction of Japan music that you'd like to export, or to say let's focus on this, what would you choose?
So that is a very, very good question, because we have the word J-pop, but J-pop is just like the whole pop scene, right?
Yeah.
Japanese music is very eclectic. There's essence of hip-hop, there's essence of electronic music, there's essence from the old classical Japanese music, and so on and so on. So it's very hard to, just like minimal. How do you explain minimal, right? It's like everyone have their own like definition, like talking to them, which is kind of interesting. If I had a chance to like bring it out, if I have that type of power, I really recommend like artists around me and DJs around me, because they're getting huge. Also, we call it future J-pop, like the the new electronic sound. I mean, it could be the influence from the old stuff, but those artists and DJs, I would like to bring them out here, and and also do more collaborations. The hardest wall, the obstacle for the Japanese people is to be able to speak in English.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for Europeans, if they sing in Japanese, it's pretty. But for example, look, city pop was an example of Japanese people singing in Japanese.
Yeah, in Japanese lyrics, right? Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's great. Like, it's like
So it can happen.
It can happen because like we are Japanese, and like Japanese listeners listen to English speaking songs, which they had no idea what they're talking about, but they enjoy it. And the cool thing is because of people have some complaints about subscription services, and but I don't, because it connects everything. I see like a high school boy, right? He's listening to, I don't know, some Drake stuff, the recent Drake stuff, and after he listens to Drake, he listened to Busta Rhymes from the 90s. Yeah. Like there's no more like time wall or time. Or even
he doesn't have to go at the record shop and to go and search for that record.
Yeah.
It's just one click away.
Like people can listen to house, people can listen to hip hop or any other genre. So it's more like and there's less wall with genre too. Like back in the day, if I had a friend who listens to house, they could never listen to hip hop.
True.
Or like for me, I really love playing drum and bass, because drum and bass I love house and drum and bass, but it was always like I always had a challenge to play drum and bass, create a spot where I can play drum and bass on house music party.
Yeah. And
sometimes it worked really well, and sometimes people just left. I had those experiences. So it's so back to your question. I think the more we connect, and the more we have a chance to introduce, I think that although language is very important for for the lyrics, but people can kind of understand what this story is about, or like how they feel, right? So
I think it's very nice when people listen up to music that they don't understand the lyrics. I think then it's a test. If I don't understand Japanese lyrics, but I like the whole atmosphere of the music, then that tune has reached its fullest potential, because it can transmit something
100%.
that the other one, it overcomes the language barrier for me as a listener. And I think this is very hard for a track that has lyrics on it, to go over this.
Yeah.
For example, we had on Black Rhino an interview with Merzbold. Yes. And he has, I don't know, I think he has hundreds of releases.
Yeah.
He's really prolific on this, on the noise and ambient stuff. What would you promote coming out from Japan?
For me,
maybe we can share the superpower.
I want to introduce or import like amateur music.
Amateur music?
Yeah, like the people who are not professional.
Okay.
Musicians, the sound from them. I want to like share or like export it and to the world, because nowadays we can make music everybody, even if they are like they have other jobs or not professional musicians, or like part-time worker, teachers, scientists can make music. Like I said, the creativity is just a part of life. So, and then nowadays I feel like kind of professionalism is kind of getting more blurry, because like YouTubers, like Bandcamp things, like everybody can upload and share their sound. And then I want to introduce some music like that made it in a daily life of them, like more a part of people's life.
Not for professional musicians, but from people that has a need to explore the music. People who feel something that they should do in music, but they're not professional musicians.
Nice. It's hard to make a living. For music in Japan.
So no need to. Some musicians get like professional field by their own effort and some luck or like talent or something. But like it's like human, just my opinion, but making music or like visual or anything like painting, that is kind of one of the human rights everyone can do, and everyone, if they want to do, they could, and they can showing to anybody. So I want to like not pick up, I mean,
Yeah. You don't want to select.
yeah, I don't want to select, but I want to make something connecting with all over the world people's, like,
To connect them with other people that do the same thing but from different parts.
yeah, it's always happen in underground, no non-professional music makers, like Japanese things always happen in underground, and they have other jobs and sometimes struggle about the money or everything, but they still keep making, and then it's kind of super beautiful for me, like just living their own life. So I want to share and that kind of things, but I don't know how to do that. But yeah, I have superpower now.
Yeah. So you can just clap your hands or snap the fingers and everything will be possible. How was your experience here at Creative Camp? Taku?
For me, this creative camp, I really I've been in the industry for a while, so but I listened to the artists beforehand. I'm like, there's nothing I can teach, but so I decided to be like one of them and just have fun. And I think I discovered a lot about myself. I never knew I could do a live jam session because I just use computer and program the song usually. And sometimes, I press keyboards, but the people are just jamming and there was like open keyboard space. I'm like, okay, let me just try it. Yeah. And then just...
It's the first time for me to see he's playing drums.
Yeah, I even play drums, yeah. I don't usually jam, but the remaining team were very, very open and kind to me to give me that spot. So I discovered so many things about myself, which was great. And about the creative camp itself, I think it's great to have like different type of artists. It's very versatile. Some of them are electronic music, but they have different tastes of electronic music. One could be house or deep house oriented. One could be more like experimental sound. We have a classical piano player and flute player, so many different types of artists trying to create something which they've never created before. So that's what they're trying to do. And eventually that's going to be played at the Electric Castle.
Yes, next year.
Yeah, so it's this whole experience. Although I've been keep on saying this, I've been doing this for several years, but I'm saying this because I had never experienced something like this, and it's great.
Nice. And for you, how is it? How do you feel your visual will come in hand? Yes.
Visual coming about the visual.
Sorry.
About the visual.
Yes.
For me, like not only for visual. Like after coming here, Creative Camp.
Yes, and how you'll do the visual part for the project?
Oh yeah, actually, honestly, at first day or second day, I really confused, like about the Creative Camp, because kind of all the things like chaotic, like he said, jamming or sessions happen every time, and then nothing's already decided, and okay, what's going on? But gradually, I catch the way of the musicians doing, like the finding searching each other with the sound, And then gradually I like the capturing or sampling the atmosphere and the vibes to recreate my programs of the visual generating. And then like kind of I'm adjusting the vibe. When I just hearing, I don't much like went into the jam session, but my ears always put the sound from the studio. Yeah, and then so the shooting or my visual 2 days ago or last night, we do the same music together. And then I felt I got some inspirations from them, and then I could adjust and fit myself to the session. So at first time it's so difficult to fit, but yeah, then I dive into the camp. Then finally, yeah, I could join
and think of a visual direction.
And then, yeah, actually I really like impressed when the video was finished, like 5 or 6 takes, and then some of the musicians played and the whole thing is finished. Yeah, I kind of so surprised because I haven't do this kind of ways to create, like just gathering and make something with like sometimes fighting or like praying or something, and finally got some result. So I really surprised. Then, yeah, I learned many of things. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the interview, and the people will be able to see the show next year at the Electric Castle on the main stage. Yeah. And I'm also very curious about the final project and the visuals and all the influences that came here. So thank you guys very much for the interview and for the time here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.